Welcome into Path to the Playoffs. Casey Phillips here with senior writer and editor Scott Smith. You win, they're in. You lose, you're out.
Are we done?
Are we done? We go home?
Slice.
We were discussing that this is the easiest episode of Path to the Playoffs we've ever done.
Step to the playoffs.
Yes,
like
just the one
hop.
little tiptoe to the playoffs there, with one game being the whole thing.
Yeah.
But of course, it's a little more complicated than that in terms of the bigger playoff
Should we explain
picture.
why?
Yes, we can talk about why. We can talk about who they might play. All of those other things as well. So that's the easy picture from the Bucs perspective. Win you're in, lose you're not. But what is kind of the NFC?
Let's explain why.
Yes. Okay. So tell us a little bit about why.
So the Bucs could have clinched the division last week, but missed that chance when they didn't beat the Saints, and so the Saints have now tied the Bucs at 8-8, and the Falcons are at 7-9. And for that reason, it's not over yet. But the Buccaneers still control the tiebreaker edge over both of those teams. Whichever one wins that game. Obviously, the Bucs win, they're in, because even if the Saints win, they have a tiebreaker edge over the Saints for common games, record against common games, and that would be the case if the Bucs actually were to lose and the Falcons were to win. The Buccaneers would still have the tiebreaker edge over the Falcons. So. The funny thing about the whole thing is, if the Buccaneers were to lose, which obviously we don't want or think is going to happen, whoever wins that other game wins the division, and the Bucs will actually be second, and the team that loses that other game third. So it's really weird, but basically the Bucs own the tiebreaker edge, so they just need to stay at least tied.
All right, and so now let's take a look at this NFC playoff picture at large, the way it stands. So show us what stands out to you.
Well,
there.
San Fran locked up the top seed in the conference, which was not a huge surprise, but they won, and both the Lions in that controversial ending with the Cowboys and the Eagles, who are really slumping towards the end of the season, they both lost, and so San Fran locked up that number one seed, which is good for them because Christian McCaffrey's a little banged up, but he wanted to play for several weeks. Dallas actually jumped Philly because they're winning against Detroit, and Philly's lost to Arizona. So they're now in control of the 2 seed and would win the division if they win this last weekend. And they are playing the Washington Commanders, who have been really struggling down the stretch. Philly's playing the New York Giants, who haven't had a great season either. But Philly can't win and in. Dallas can. Okay. And then the Rams are probably, other than maybe the 49ers, are the hottest team in the NFC. I believe they won 6 of their last 7, and the only game they lost was in overtime to Baltimore, which is the number 1 seed in the AFC. And the Packers jumped the Seahawks for the 7th spot right now, and they are winning it.
Interesting. All right, well then there you go. That is going to be it. It's either Cowboys or Eagles. It looks like kind of to the Cowboys in terms of they control their destiny, but depending on what those 2 teams do, Bucs will be playing one of them. If, again, they win this Sunday against the Panthers. Got to do that first. And then, of course, if they do that, we'll be back here with some matchup breakdowns of who they're going to play. So we'll see you then.